Poisonrana.
Hello.
Hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Poisonrana Live. You found us, whatever podcast app you are choosing to listen to us on. Hit that 5-star review, hit that subscribe. But it's Sunday, 2 p.m. You know what that means.
It means we are live on youtube.com/@PoisonRanaPod. Hello, YouTube. Hello, podcast people. Hello, tadpoles. How we doing?
Yes, hello, friends, most importantly. Hello, Poison Pals. If you're in the chat here today, drop a frog. Even if you're listening to this a day later, a week later, somehow drop a frog. Somehow, some way. Hello, everybody. It's
not literally. Like, we don't approve of animal cruelty.
Oh, yeah,
here.
sorry.
I don't want you dropping frogs out of windows or things. But
dropping frogs everywhere. They'll probably be okay, though. I feel like they jump around and stuff. If you were to drop one, be okay. I don't know.
I'm not going to put it to the test.
I'm not advising it. Please, we love animals here. Hello, everybody. Sunday, February 23rd. It's 2 p.m. Eastern time, which means, yes, we're here to talk about some professional wrestling and what have you. So, yeah, we're here. It's Sunday. We do this a lot. I see some frogs in the chat. Appreciate, as always. Thank you for listening and following. Follow us on all socials and podcast apps, Poisonrana. Give us a little frog. All the frogs coming in here.
Wow, so many frogs. You can tell football's over, can't you?
Football is over, and make way for a real sport. Hockey. That's a real man's sport. You know, that just something about it. Just
did we win the world? Is that what's happened now?
We won technically.
We won. America can back off. Like, yeah,
they may have beat us.
They're now the 11th province. It's all good. Yeah,
11th province, America. Yeah, that was an interesting. Like, I feel like that was like a whole year ago. The way the world moves so quickly. But this week, the biggest hockey game known to mankind, where America took on Canada, and basically, I don't know if you knew the stipulation for this hockey game, Davie, but if Canada lost, we were going to become the 51st state.
Yes.
That was the game rule.
Yep.
Trudeau and Trump had this. What is Trump calls Trudeau Governor Trudeau, and I feel like, look, I'm not the biggest Trudeau fan, but I feel like Trudeau's missing a step. Maybe it's the wrestling fan in me. The second someone calls me a Governor Trudeau, yeah, you're dictator Trump.
Yeah.
That's the nickname that I fire back instantly. But I guess we won't have to have Trudeau too much longer. But
I'm just waiting for the final boss, Charlie Boy, to step in. You know,
who's Charlie Boy?
The king.
Oh, right. Yeah. He hasn't said a whole lot.
Be like, yo, fuck off. Canada's mine. It's been mine a long time. You ain't having it, you orange twat. Yes.
He's been pretty quiet. He's been pretty quiet. Maybe he's just watching. Maybe he's like, this is my favorite show. I get to watch and see what happens. So, yeah, Canada is not for sale. We'll beat you at hockey sometimes. And we'll be proud about it. It's really the only thing we got. Okay, so why would you try to take away? Though, if we lost, nothing would be different, except Americans would now be like, "Look, you're not even good at that. You guys can't even win at that." And we did. So thankfully, it saves our ass for when it comes time for Americans to chirp us. We go, yeah,
but it's funny, all the gloating after the first match, and then as soon as we win, it's just an all-star game. It doesn't mean anything. It's just mid-season, doesn't count. Like,
we've said before, we love our American friends, and no dictator or wannabe king is gonna tell me otherwise that who I can be friends with or who I hate or whatnot. But it was nice to see Canada win that hockey game. We can be a little patriotic now that you're a full-blooded Canadian. How was it supporting Canada? You were watching the game, I assume.
I think I'm a lucky charm. I reckon. I think if I wasn't Canadian, it just wouldn't have happened. I gave them that boost they needed.
Right.
I get a vote for the first time this week.
You're gonna vote for Doug?
That's exciting. Well, we don't technically vote for Doug, do we? You vote for your local representative. But yeah, I'm going through the policies. I'm seeing what what I like the look of. I like the sound of Rent Control. That's a good one I see coming up. You know, cheaper groceries, that's always good. Holding these grocery stores accountable for charging me $30 for some chicken. Like, I like that.
Yeah, this is true. When that comes, isn't it coming up? Voting for Ontario Premier? Yeah. I don't think Doug's gonna go anywhere, but it's not like he's done anything. Americans are like, what the fuck are they talking about? Who's this Doug? Fuck you, Doug.
I do respect him for at least standing up to Trump. You know, like he's
one of the Trudeau few
didn't. Who's like really being like, no, fuck off. Like, which I do respect. Like, I don't tend to like lean that way, but like Doug's done some okay things, I think, and like he sort of won my respect a little bit with standing up to dictator Don.
Yeah, it just feels weird. Like they're trying to have all this like, oh, Canada this, and we should take over Canada and Greenland. It's like, is this all just not some big distraction? Like, y'all can't afford eggs. Y'all are tripping. Like, I had a beautiful spinach mushroom omelet. What did you guys have? You didn't have shit because eggs are like $7 per egg. US, American. To us, that's like $11 Canadian because our dollar is so shit. But wow. Hope all is safe wherever you are in America, North America, the world, wherever you are. We can all be friends. Like I've said, no border is going to tell me I have to go to war. Thank God we're not in like the 50s or something, Davey. We'd do terrible. If they're like, hey, look, you wrestling podcasters got to go to war. Be like,
look, this is how bad I'd be in war. Like, you know, you see, like, especially way back World War I in the trenches, this snow just isn't clearing in the city. We haven't had another fall for a while, but this snow is not clearing, and trying to walk around is kind of tough. I trod in a puddle today. It soaked right through my shoes, right through my socks, and that sucked. That would be enough for me. Like being in the trenches with wet feet, I'm like, sorry guys, like I'm calling it. Like we surrender. It sucks.
Isn't there a name for it? Like when you got the people would always get their
trench foot.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Like you could just
sounds like an indie wrestler name, doesn't it? Or a finishing move or something.
Trench foot. Isn't there was a wrestler in AEW, Trench, right?
That's right. The
short-lived
face man. The
guy who had no name, and then we found out his name was Trench, and we're like,
I don't think he even wrestled, did he? He just stood there looking terrifying.
All trenchy. So we won't go to war if we don't have to, but support Canadian, buy Canadian if you can. Any Canadians out there, Americans, you guys are fine. I don't know. Do your thing, but don't fucking step to us at hockey. You and Kurt Russell won't be able to help you next time you step up to us. So don't fuck around. Kill you in hockey, sort of. Kind of.
Well, we've got a lot going on this weekend. We pretty much right after this show, we're going to be heading over to Blood Brothers Brewery for our good friends at Northern Crown Wrestling. We had them on the show 2 weeks ago. Great chat with Gigi. Looking forward to seeing him tonight and maybe having a Blood Light or two. But yes, if you are in the GTA, if you're listening to this live, meet us there. It's going to be fun. These guys put on a great show. We went to their fourth show a few weeks ago. Loved it. Happy to go to the second one, and it's kicking off this week of wrestling in the Six.
Absolutely, yeah. Wrestling is super popular right now with WWE being popular, but also here in our hometown, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the wrestling community is just thriving. Demand Lucha just had a show this past Thursday. We're going to Northern Crown today. Plus, next weekend, Elimination Chamber here in the city at the Sky Dome. It's going to be crazy, especially now with The Rock basically saying that he's going to be there. So ticket prices may be adjusted. We'll see how StubHub is. We haven't bought a ticket yet.
They look the same last night when I checked. They look the same. Good. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll... when we get into the WWE tour, there's definitely some interesting things that's gone on this last week. And as always, usually involving Dwayne. But
yes,
we'll talk if we think any last minute changes or stuff. But
we will be going to Elimination Chamber. But if you are listening, are in the Toronto area or going to the Chamber, or maybe you're not, you should come lock in with the BDE. Saturday, March 1st, 309 King Street West, Toronto. Just 5-minute walk from the Sky Dome. We are going to be locking in with our Elimination Chamber tailgate. You can join Davie and myself and our friend, folk icon, singer-songwriter Ivan Rivers, who will be performing WWE themes, wrestling themes, covers live in the flesh, as we have some prizes, some wrestling drink specials, Davie's cocktails, as always. Come drink a Poisonrana. See how sour it is. It's beautiful. We're gonna have a party. We decided, Americans, you guys all get to tailgate, and the football tailgates and the WrestleMania tailgates. It's all fun. It's kind of illegal here, and we don't have a parking lot to do it. So why not do it 5 minutes around the corner from the stadium here? Lock in with us. We're going to have such a fun time. I'm very excited. Some of our friends are coming up. I'm bummed some of our friends have bailed. Some of our Americans, they are so upset at this hockey result from this week that they've decided they're not coming up. But you'll be there in spirit, all of you. I know Sino, Brandon from New Jersey, they were telling us they were coming, and then they lied to us, to our faces, Davie, that they're not coming. But they'll be there.
Brandon lying, I am shocked.
However,
to the core.
Fire Frank, I know he'll be in attendance. So if you do see him and you're listening to this, try to take the title from him. Who knows? Maybe we'll have an impromptu match. I'm not sure.
While I was at work yesterday, a wild Mike Murray appeared and confirmed attendance. He'll be there. A lot of you have said you're attending this event. It's going to be a great time. We love doing these hangouts. Like I think of when we did Drinkers Pub in Philly and Wide Open for Money in the Bank last year. This is closer than both those venues. It is literally right round the corner. There are very few bars as close to the venue. And I dare say no bar as wrestling friendly as Gabby's, because we run the show there and we know how to party. We know what you wrestling fans want when you're going to these events. We've been, going to many of these events over the years, so we know how to have a good pre-show, if you will, a good old kickoff. So come along. Ivan's been preparing the music. He's a fantastic musician. I can't wait to see what he's done with some of these songs. And come along, get fed, have some wings, have some drinks. It will be a darn sight cheaper than it will be at the Rogers Center. I assure you that. So come along, hang out, chat. We have an old wrestling on the TVs. It's going to be a great, great time. So come along, bring some cash because we might have some raffles, some prizes to give away, that kind of thing as well. But can't wait to see you there. Drop in anytime between 2 and 6. Even if it's, you pop in and have a quick Diet Coke and got to leave and say hi. That will be fine. You'll have plenty of time. And, Rogers Center is normally pretty good at getting people in and out as well. Whenever I've gone to a Jays game, it's not like they're pretty good, I think, normally when it comes to a big event. So you'll have plenty of time. You don't have to worry about, leaving too late and missing the show or whatever. So come hang out at Gabby's.
Absolutely. It is all ages. I had a few people ask about that because they're going to the show with their kids and stuff. It's during the day, so it is allowed. So I'm very excited. If any of you are listening, please drop on by from 1 to 6. We will be there just around the corner, and say hello. If maybe you're a listener who've never come to some of our events and you're going to the chamber and you're like, it's just around the corner. Yes, definitely. Come say hello, have a pint or 2 or 3 with us, and lock in March 1st. Poisonrana.ca for all the links. You don't need to buy a ticket. It's absolutely free, but you can reserve a ticket online if you really want to, but you can just show up.
If you're not going to Chamber, we will have the show on in the bar area. Karaoke runs from 9 o'clock on Saturday, so that will be going on in the front of the restaurant. So, if you're concerned about noise bleeding through, that might be a factor, but we will have the show on in the bar area with sound for those that wish to stay and watch it.
Absolutely. So really looking forward to this. Every time we get to do like a bit of a party, we do a lot of the watch parties and stuff, but this is our backyard. This is literally right around the corner from the venue. So we're excited to see any of you people out, and do say hello if you do show up. We would love to meet some of our listeners. I may have some very, very rare Poisonrana collectibles that I may give out to some listeners. So please say hi if you see us. If you got a Poisonrana hoodie, hat, whatever, rock it so we know, and let those frogs wave high up there in the Sky Dome. But very excited about this. It's going to be a party. Definitely looking forward to this. Can't wait. And hey, while we're on the plug train, let me plug patreon.com/Poisonrana. Go to this site, go into your Spotify, whatever it may be. Check out all the shows that we do on our Patreon, because this week is a crazy week for our Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to every show that comes out in the month that you subscribe, but gives you access to every show that we've done in that back catalog, including all the best matches ever, all the wrestling reviews, movie reviews, etc. But this week alone, this span of 2 weeks, gives you so many shows, because we did a Champ is Here, episode 6, where we looked at the 6th title reign of John Cena. That was a blast. We did the Rumble 02 review around the Rumble time. I did a Saturday Night Live 50th special, a 3.5-hour podcast talking about the history, the 50th review, and our top 5 guest hosts, players, and sketches with myself, John Pollock, and Jordan Goodman. Thank you to some of the people who have sent in some feedback for this. Really appreciate it. And we had such a fun time talking all about SNL.
Yeah, I finally got around to finishing the show yesterday, so I'm looking forward to now listening to you guys talk about it. I've only heard good things about your show.
E-bikes. I knew you'd like that sketch.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that was a show that we did. It was such a blast. Shout out Pollock and Jordan for joining me with that one. We had a blast. You could tell we were just talking about non-wrestling stuff for like 3 hours. It was fantastic. But you also get a show we just dropped. A show so big that my hard drive may or may not have crashed, but I think I fixed it because the show has been exported. It is uploaded. We have finally watched and reviewed The Godfather Part 2. Oh, yes. We'll make you an offer you can't refuse, and that's $5 per month at patreon.com/Poisonrana. We chat all about the Corleone family, Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. What a movie. What a film. And to hear our thoughts on it, you have to
now
show.
So far, because we admitted we were quite nervous about doing this show. Maybe it's not enough people have listened to it yet, but so far I haven't heard people go, "You fucking idiots, you think this and you don't know shit about this film." Right. So yeah, so far so good, but very much enjoyed this show. Yeah, I'm glad we finally done it. I feel like it's been something I've been needing to do for a long time, and to finally watch Godfather Part 2, it's a good thing.
So for any of you Mafia fans, that was the review for you. Godfather Part 2 review. Shout out Mahmoud, our family member, world champ patron, who selected this for us to watch. He selected the Godfather 1 a few years ago, so finally got around to Godfather 2, and then we chatted with him a little bit as well. So that was a ton of fun. But we mentioned Elimination Chamber is in the Sky Dome in Toronto, the Rogers Center, next weekend, and we thought, well, we're on the road to WrestleMania, stopping off at Elimination Chamber in the Sky Dome. Why don't we look back at the last time WWE were at the Sky Dome for the first time ever? Davie and I this week will be reviewing WrestleMania 18.
Oh yeah.
The Rock, Hogan, Booker T and Edge, shampoo commercial beef. There's a lot on this show.
Yep, can't wait for this one. A big show. One I haven't watched as much as some of the others from that era. Like I feel like 17 and 19 are my go-tos, but I was very much still a firm fan back in 2002 when this event took place. And I know we've done that No Way Out review leading into that quite a while ago with the NWO arriving. So yeah, very much looking forward to chatting about that. It just ties in, it's WrestleMania season. It's WWE coming to the Sky Dome. It's The Rock back in the fold. A lot to talk about.
Yes, we knew as soon as they announced like a show for the Sky Dome, we're like, we should look back at this. And then, of course, The Rock inserting himself back into the mix just kind of worked out perfectly, as we all kind of thought. We were like, we said multiple times when this, like months ago, like, they can't do a WWE show at the Sky Dome without The Rock at least showing up. And that's definitely the the case. So The Rock returning to one of his hometowns. I know he likes to call a lot of cities his hometown, but the guy travels a lot and he's got a lot of history and family history here. So I'm excited.
Well, I think let's get into the show. Let's start talking about The Rock. I think we'll start with the first announcement he made, and that was him coming out on SmackDown announcing that WrestleMania 42 will be taking place in New Orleans. We kind of heard these rumors going round. He kind of reiterated in the press conference after, quite an easy decision. It sounds like there's a kind of site fee sort of thing going on. Yeah, like there's a lot of advertising already on WWE.com for New Orleans and that kind of thing. So clearly a kind of deal that's been struck there with the city. But he said easy decision. I completely agree. I've attended 2 of these WrestleManias. It is, in my opinion, the best host city for WrestleMania. It fits it perfectly. There's so much to do in New Orleans. It's a great city to get around as well. Like, I love New York, but it's a bitch going to shows in New York. It's too big. New Orleans, I just think it feels like wrestling just takes over when WWE's in town there. So I'm very excited. It's definitely something I'm saving up to do. Any thoughts on New Orleans for next year?
No. I mean, I've never been to New Orleans, and I've heard you say how much you've enjoyed going to previous WrestleManias. In fact, most friends that have gone to New Orleans for the last WrestleMania are like, oh man, I can't wait to go back. So it's definitely an excuse for me to go there. And I mean, this is a lot cooler than a city like some of the other places that, that have been like circulating stuff. Like, I know, like we just did Indianapolis for the Rumble. Like, no offense, I'm not necessarily looking to like travel to a place like that, or like, like
I'm sure I'd have a great time in Indianapolis, but it's not high on my bucket list of things to do. Yeah.
So like, I feel like this is a great spot for WWE to go back there. This is one of the big American cities, big party city, and like, they're on fire right now. It should be completely crazy next year. So I think it's safe to say we might be packing our bags and making a little trip down there for some Bourbon Street.
And as Magan puts in the chat, it led to the birth of Up Next. Yes, our very first show together was NXT TakeOver New Orleans, which I know our friends at Post Wrestling just reviewed on Rewind Away. So yeah, I'm sure leading up to next year, we'll be doing a lot of maybe looking back at WrestleMania 30, maybe looking back at that takeover, and some other things. But yeah, very much excited for that.
Yeah, I think it's a big thing. Like, them announcing the Rumble for Saudi, I think, like, kind of just like, I don't think it like pissed people off. It probably did. But it's like, I think we are all just like, oh, it's not WrestleMania in Saudi yet. So let's just be happy with that. So New Orleans getting WrestleMania makes a whole lot of sense. It feels like it's going to be one hell of a party next year. So I don't necessarily have the FOMO hitting me for we're not going to Vegas for WrestleMania. I'm sure that could change, especially when we're watching WrestleMania. But I know last year in Philly, I think a few of us were like, all right, WrestleMania'd out. See you guys at WrestleMania 50. And then they pull us back in. They reel us back in by saying, yeah, but what about New Orleans? And I'm like, all right, maybe you got me. We'll see. So yes, I think it's safe to say you may or may not see the BDE stumbling around Bourbon Street next year.
Absolutely. Well, and then we get into kind of the story stuff where we have this very odd promo, let's say, with The Rock and Cody Rhodes. The Rock flicking in and out of character, kind of. He's corporate Dwayne Johnson, kind of baby facing himself and just hyping up the city. Then he's calling the people of New Orleans like, street trash with STDs and syphilis on their mouths and all that kind of stuff. Calls out Cody. He's friends with Cody. They're best friends. He's his brother. But he doesn't want his title. He wants his soul. I've heard so many opinions about this segment so far, and 2 days removed, I'm still very confused and not 100% sure what I think, to be honest. But yeah, Braden, where are you at with this whole thing? Because it was weird. It was very weird.
I only watched it just last night, and so I haven't necessarily heard like the internet wrestling community's opinion on it. But my opinion was it was definitely weird because I'm not like I don't know if it's like nitpicking, but like in wrestling, like do people always like flip back and forth? It's almost like he forgot which role he was playing. It's almost like, was this bipolar Rock? Like, what was this? He was like, first of all, he makes his entrance to New Orleans and he comes out with Lil Wayne, like a remix of The Block is Hot, which is sick. And when the crowd, when certain people like realized what it was that he was coming out to, certain people like definitely reacted because like
I like how his entrance is kind of different and growing every time as well. Like I thought it was very cool.
It was cool that he did that, and then he right away pretty much like to do the catchphrase of like The Rock coming back. Instead, he says WrestleMania is coming back to the city. That got a huge reaction. I thought that was pretty cool. I noticed that during his entrance, he sees a cell phone on the ground ringside, and he picks it up and gives it to someone, and they're like, "Oh, thank you." I thought that was pretty funny. But then, yeah, he tries to tell people, "Hey, I'm just Dwayne," and then he starts to sing "The Saints Are Coming Home," and then he yells at the crowd, "Hey, don't sing along with me, you idiots," or whatever, and then continues to sing, and then goes, "You guys did such a great job." It was like, huh? Wait, what did you say? So like, yeah, I'm not trying to use the like the bipolar thing and like the most like I'm trying to mean like it did feel like he was two different people in this promo because he's then like, hey, WrestleMania is great. You guys are great. Love you guys. We wouldn't have WWE without you guys. But also, you should shut the fuck up and before I slap that syphilis off your face. It's like, wait a second. Wait. Can we decide who we're listening to right now? Because it was a little confusing with him just kind of flipping back and forth. I'm like, wait, am I supposed to like love you or am I supposed to hate you right now? I'm not sure.
So this like I don't mind like gray areas, you know. I don't mind having questions, and I think that with the success of WWE right now, they know they're going to sell these tickets and stuff. They don't necessarily need to be announcing matches right away. So they've been doing these kind of, they did it last year with the build to WrestleMania, these mysteries where you're like not sure what it means, where it's going. And part of me feels that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is kind of like that. He is kind of a bit artificial, and he does know how to say what people want to hear. And like, just look at his Instagram, like how many times he's like, "Wow, it's having In-N-Out burger for the first time." It's like, no, you're not, Dwayne. You're just trying to like appeal to us. So I think there is that element of like corporate fakeness, phoniness about him, which did come through in this promo. And even like the one nugget from that NXT promo was when he was like, "Oh, everyone, you know, everyone's like, why are you so nice to Cody? Why are you friends with Cody?" And he said something like, "Hey, I'm always thinking a few steps ahead," or something like that. So kind of hinting at, yes, I may be all good guy and friendly now, but I do have other plans.
Yeah.
Or I still am the final boss when I need to be. So I think he's playing with that murkiness about it, but I just don't think it really works. I think having how hot the Cody Rock thing was at the end of last year and just distinguishing that on the Raw and Netflix to try and reignite it here just feels why? Like, and it very much feels, you know, Rock has realized, oh, you know what, I can go to Vegas that weekend, so let's do something. But why extinguish it when they did in January was bizarre.
Yeah,
it's just the whole thing about the soul. Like, yeah, okay, I think a lot of people think back to Vince and Stone Cold and trying to make him the corporate champion and that kind of thing. But like Cody already, he's a babyface, but he already feels like a corporate champion. You know, he wears the suits, he looks $1 million, he does all the charity things. So that doesn't really make sense. And also, just if I was Cody, and like, let's, we watch this and we want to have an air of believability about it, wouldn't you just say, Dwayne, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
What do you mean you want my soul? Like, what do you want that? Like,
what?
If Braden, if you went to me like, I want to take your job. I'm going to take your job at Gabby's, and not only am I going to take your job, I'm going to take your soul in the process. I'd be like, Braden, what have you just smoked? What are you talking about? Like, but instead, Cody's left going.
It was weird. Like,
it was just weird.
It was one of the weirdest Rock promos, and I don't know if this is like trying to retcon the retcon. Like, is this like a changing, a fork in the road? Like, oh wait, we had to pivot because of the Rock wasn't going to be at WrestleMania, and now it looks like he can. So it's like, wait, let's pivot this again. So, like, part of me is not mad that the Rock is back, at least in like the build to WrestleMania, because I think that adds a lot of interest. We saw last year the final boss. I thought it was pretty successful last year, but now you've already pulled that curtain with that Raw on Netflix debut, like, and then that NXT promo, which I thought were two very strange promos. And then on top of that, you add this. So is this just the Rock going out there and riffing, or like forgetting lines, or flubbing lines, or just saying what he wants and then flip flops around? Like, again, he sounds like he's two different people here. He's the the bipolar boulder is now what I'm going to refer to the Dwayne, because it felt like he didn't know where he was on this page. It's like, what?
And it's him going into all the like business side of it, which I don't want to hear about Ari Emanuel and Nick Khan on like Wrestling Story TV. I have no interest. And I'm sure like 90% of the people watching don't have a fucking clue who Ari Emanuel is. Right. Like, we get it. He owns TKO. Why is that interesting to me from a storyline point of view? It's not. And that kind of played into the very patting themselves on the back at that Netflix thing. That was the feel I had. Like, isn't our business great? Aren't all these businessmen great? It's like, I don't care about rich people getting richer. And then, so I think I feel he's kind of adopting almost the Paul Levesque role. He's doing this press conference after, and he's like trying to make clear, like, I am the figurehead of this company. I am the brand that you all know. And maybe he feels the need to have to show like the real, if you were, Dwayne Johnson, while he's also like, but I am this character too. And I think in the past, like, Triple H has been able to separate that a bit more, where he's been Triple H and he's been Uncle Paul, but to come out like you said about it the other day with that clip from LFG about Undertaker explaining the yay boo spots for like just an hour after this show happens, where there, like, I'll give some compliments. I think The Rock did come across quite scary when he's saying the whole lines. He came across very sinister. The news came out this week that he's been cast in Scorsese's movie.
Yes, I want to talk about that too. Yeah.
And I was very much, we've just watched Godfather Part 2, and I was very much getting that kind of mafia feel. Roman Reigns had it pretty well when he was the heel tribal chief and all that, and Rock was like kind of channeling that energy. I loved that. But then for just an hour after to be sat down in front of people going, yeah, so we thought it'd be cool if, like, he's like, no, I don't want your championship, I want your soul. It's like, Dwayne, I don't, like, save it for the documentary that's released on YouTube like 6 months after WrestleMania. Yeah. That's fine. We can kind of, then we can be curious. I don't want the thought process and the behind the scenes on the same fucking show, It's nitpicking too. Last year with the build, I think it was like a few days after when he was like whipping Cody and beating him up. I'm pretty sure he went on Kimmel and then was like, oh yeah, and he was like super happy. And I'm like, of course, it's like, of course, I know I'm a fucking grown man. I know this is like a show, but it still was like, he was like, oh yeah, me and Cody, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. You should be selling me on the match. Like, telling me how much you hate this man and you want to beat him and everything. I really thought, I will say the positives is when he does say,
I Want Your Soul. Like, you're like, oh, look, he is a good actor because look how scary he is. He's fucking massive. He's jacked and he's wearing those glasses. He's dressed the way he is. He looks like he's a fucking final boss supervillain when you play some video game and he's the final like evil mafioso dude. So like, I did like that aspect of it. I like the aspect that we are still like reheating this up a little bit. We shouldn't have let this go cold in the first place. This was my feud of the year between Cody and The Rock last year, simply because like I thought they did a fantastic job of turning it around. Like I've said before, like I always loved The Rock, but he was never like my guy or my favorite. I did think in the last like 10 years he has been very fake. He has been very artificial. But last year, Final Boss Run like really turned me around just as a fan, like getting me so invested. So hearing his music here, he comes out to Lil Wayne, he does all this thing. I was super pumped. And then this promo is just so bizarre, so weird. And I think the thing we'll always refer to, like, I don't even know if I hated it because I'm sure for years to come, people will bring up I Want Your Soul. I feel like this isn't the last time we're going to hear him talk about I Want Your Soul. It's Shang Tsung from Mortal Kombat. Your soul is mine, essentially, is what he did here to Cody. So this is one of the weirdest Rock promos. I like this is maybe weirder than the NXT one, which was like just a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, here's my theory. The NXT one was literally like he's The Rock. He's an incredible talker. He gets by on personality. He can just walk out to his theme, stand there, and people go nuts.
Yeah.
The NXT one was very much winging it. And he was saying it on the show. He's like, I don't know what I'm going to go out there and say. I'm just going to feel it. And it's like, yeah, that really showed because he's like, I'm The Rock. This is NXT. Like, that's enough. I don't need to have any real content or substance to what I'm saying. I'm on the seed show, the developmental show in front of 200 people. I'm The Rock. Here I am. Like, I'm not overthinking it too much. And then when it came to this promo, I felt like it's, January, I think The Rock was like, I can't do WrestleMania. I probably can't even be at WrestleMania, was the feeling I got. And then something's changed where it's, I'm freed up now. Like very last minute, probably in the last week or so. I'm free now that weekend. Do you want to wrestle, Dwayne? I don't know. Let's feel it out. Like, okay, well, it's coming up quite soon. It's like, I don't know, but I'll be there. I also think ticket sales for Elimination Chamber maybe haven't gone quite as well as they were hoping. I feel you might be starting to see that kind of point where, there is a limit to how much people will spend. Toronto have been lucky the last few years, been having WWE pay-per-views, been having AEW pay-per-views. And I think a lot of people are like, I went to Money in the Bank last year and I don't need to be spending $200 on a terrible seat for this show. And I definitely think they've priced themselves out in the city. It'll still look great. There'll still be lots of people there. I'm hoping for some prices to drop. But you announced The Rock. They're like, Rock, are you free this weekend? We need you to boost some tickets. And then it was like, okay, so he's going to have some involvement in Mania. We don't know if he's wrestling or not. So we kind of have to be a little cryptic about it, which this whole promo was. Like, I want your soul. I want you to be my champion. That could go either way. It can be Cody refusing that, and it leads to a match with Rock and Cody. It could be Cody becoming the heel and to represent The Rock against John Cena, let's say. Or Cody turns it down and Rock gets a surrogate in his place.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things like that. And also a bit of an element where The Rock is like, okay, what am I talking about? Cool. Yeah. Bit of the NXT vibe. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm The Rock. I can do whatever. And then this was the result.
Yeah, it was bizarre. I think obviously this is a great way to get people to go. If people were like on the fence, now you're going to be able to see John Cena and The Rock. Obviously he's not going to be wrestling, but you're going to see him in the flesh in the Sky Dome, famous venue where he had a pretty famous match. Like, I think that's a big draw. Just to have him there is pretty great. He hasn't been
like
he hasn't been here
a bunch of times, but I'm very excited to see him there.
Like, I'm pretty sure the last time he was here was the lead-in or something. He did a Rock concert, and that was probably the last time he was in the WWE like show here on TV. So like that's pretty cool that he's here. It's just the way that we're getting there is very bizarre. So it's like,
is he coming out to Drake?
I don't think so.
Thing?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Just pander to the city you're from by playing a remix. I mean, Lil Wayne and Drake, they're friends, so like, you know, that could be a thing. I think I want to see it play out, but it's just like, hey, if you knew we weren't going to do this, we already like switched things up. We already like moved on, you know, like wrestling won't wait for you. Oh, I have to do reshoots or whatever the case may be. It's like, cool. There's like 6 other guys that we can set up and have a WrestleMania main event. So it's a little weird that we go back now to this.
But Braden, also, even if it was a week away from WrestleMania and this was your company and The Rock called you and was like, I want to be on the show, you get him on the show, don't you?
Absolutely.
You do screw up your plans, even if it's last moment. He is such a draw. And I think it is like us fans who follow the whole thing maybe feel a bit disrespected by the kind of lack of continuity and flip-floppiness of it all.
I just like they did such a good job last year that like this should have been a layup. This should have been a walk, like fucking slam dunk right away. Like look at the history from last year. Instead, them breaking kayfabe, which again, like I don't know, I sounds weird complaining about, but like him to say afterwards, oh, this doesn't need to be a match. It's like, okay, so you're telling us you're not actually wrestling. You're just going to be a McMahon in every corner for WrestleMania. Essentially what you're going to be, corporate Rock. Him saying that, him mentioning the Mama Road stuff and like we're friends and everything. It's like, no, we don't need to talk about that yet. You guys can still beef right now. So
yeah,
whether it's The Rock asking him to be his corporate champion, whether or not, you know, we get corporate Cena, I don't see that, but like corporate Punk or someone else like in the place, because like I don't think this point, I know there's still a few months to go to WrestleMania. Like maybe Gallus has already been shipped off to Dwayne's house to help train, but I don't think Dwayne will be wrestling at WrestleMania. I think he'll be involved. I think he'll show up, but I don't necessarily see him wrestling. You know, maybe The Undertaker's the one to blame for all of this. Ever since The Undertaker showed up at WrestleMania, The Rock's been loopy. Yeah. The Rock's been just a mess.
If only there was like a press conference after SmackDown where someone could ask like a question like, hey, Rock, what's going on? You're back in the mix. Are you wrestling at WrestleMania? Oh, wait, there was a press conference. Right. But I think 2 people asked, how does it feel having WrestleMania in New Orleans? Like, fuck, like he's right in front of you. Just ask the question.
Maybe they're not allowed.
You can tell by a reaction as well, like where it's going. I
think it's great that The Rock is in the fold and everything, like as he should be right now. Like he's the fucking Rock. People people maybe like you and me who are like diehard watching everything every single week, nitpicking and everything. That's not the case for most of the fans, and most people are like, holy shit, it's The Rock. No matter what, it's like, I'm sold. I got to be there. I got to watch. I got to, etc. So I get it. We'll see what happens at Chamber, but like, does this not make WrestleMania just a little bit more exciting? I feel like at this time last year, we were already on course for like, wow, this buildup is great when Cody won the Rumble, etc. Now it's like, we're trying to figure out like, okay, is Cody going to face Punk? Is Cody facing Cena? There's a few different things, and I can't say, like, we were thinking it was going to be what, Punk, Roman, Seth at one point. It's like, hopefully it's not the case. Hopefully it's not some sort of, like I said, McMahon in every corner situation where it's like there's managers and all that stuff.
I actually, the more I think about it, the more I am leaning to Cody, Punk, and Cena as a 3-way. I think I prefer that to Punk, Roman, Seth. I think Cody versus Cena, as much as it's like, you know, your icons of the eras, I think it's I don't know what the build to that will be. What was great about the Rock Cena feud back when it happened was Cena was such a diversive character anyway. So many people hated him, and they were the fans from the Attitude Era who are fans of The Rock and cheering The Rock. And then you've got your younger fans who are all about Cena. So it made this great dynamic. I don't know if you're going to find that with Cena and Cody. Someone has to lean kind of heel, and I don't know how that really works. And I also think from what we've seen from Cena recently in ring, there's high expectations for a wrestling match. And I think if you have, Punk, his mission statement, really, if you think, why did Punk join WWE again after all these years, after all the shit talking and all that? It's because he wants to main event WrestleMania. That's his bucket list thing. And since coming back, he's been very open about that. He's not here to make friends. He's here to make money. And as things stand, like, I'd say Cena is the favorite to win the Chamber. And if Jay and Gunther are main eventing night one, like, where's his main event? You've got this favor from Heyman, like, looming over, and The Rock is looking for someone to be his corporate champion. Like, why not get one Bill Phil to do that? The Rock is a Heyman guy, essentially, bloodline and all that. It kind of could tie in that they negotiate to get Punk in this match. And I think, as much as I think singles matches are, like, more marquee, I feel it's a way to get all those three involved. I think promo segments will be spikier and more interesting with the three of them, especially if you're not getting Cena every week. You can kind of divide it up, the face-to-faces you've got. And I think it'll probably be a better match because you're not relying so much on John Cena. So I'm leaning more towards that than the...
So a triple threat.
I'm leaning to that than the Roman three-way, yeah.
I think we're going to get Punk winning the Chamber via the favor, right? Like the Paul Heyman favor is Roman attacks Seth, which easily sets up their WrestleMania match, Roman versus Seth. Easily, that's a match that we can see. And then whether that leaves Cena alone to wrestle Logan Paul, whether that leaves Cena alone to wrestle, I don't know. But, like, this definitely, like, as much as I didn't think it was necessarily a great segment or promo, it still, like, now has mustered up the, like, interest level of, like, people were kind of like, oh, this WrestleMania is, like, a little not as exciting as last year, a little staler than last year. But now it's like, okay, well, wait, there's some pieces now still up in the air and we're not quite sure where it's going, which some people are the opposite, where they're like, I need to know exactly before I book a flight and $3,000 tickets and et cetera, et cetera. I totally see it both ways, but
yeah, I think that's kind of what I was getting at the beginning. It's 2 days removed and I still don't know what I feel, because I've essentially agreed with every single point people have made about this segment. Yeah. Like, John and Way eviscerated it, and I've been seeing a lot of that, people hating it. But like what you just said, and like Frank just said in the chat, like, we're more interested because of it. We're coming out of this talking about all the possibilities, how the chess pieces move around now because of The Rock. And I think, therefore, in a way, it was a successful segment because it's what I'm thinking about. I don't like leaving a show and just, oh, that was good, I'm never going to think about that again. I've always liked theorizing, and whether it's TV dramas or whatever, oh, what's happening next? What's gonna happen? Like, and they were successful with that. So, but I also agree with people that hated it because there are, I feel, so many mistakes along the way as well.
Like, we're gonna have to see what happens, whether The Rock wants him to be a corporate champion or if we get some sort of bigger direction. I guess we got to see who wins the Chamber to figure that all out. But at the end of the day, I still like, I Want Your Soul is hilarious. It's great. Put it on a t-shirt. The Soul Man, The Rock, like, yeah, sure. Let's see where it leads. Because I didn't hate it. I thought it was weird because the guy was flip-flopping. I'm like, wait, am I supposed to? I don't understand who I'm watching right now.
I kind of love now that I think this is the template for Rock and Cody segments. It's Rock just rambling. It's Cody with his over dramatic.
Cody looks like a little bit of a bitch, right? Like, he looks a little geeked out, right? That's maybe the negative, I think.
So I think Cody needs to come out strong at Chamber. But yeah, going to Chamber, I think I'm way more interested in this than I would any Cody title defense at this point, which I'm not buying anyone beating Cody. Like, sure, it's 4 matches, but I think this is a huge part of that show. Like,
yes,
and it's going to go a long time with both these dudes' entrances. But yeah, we thought a couple of weeks ago we were getting Cody v Solo, and I will take Cody chatting with The Rock.
Yes.
And even if it is a word salad, as Magan likes to say, I will take Rock talking for 30 minutes about absolutely nothing over Cody and Solo. So
I'm also very excited about that movie. Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio, The Rock, Emily Blunt.
What's it about?
It's about the mob.
Oh, Scorsese film. Scorsese's doing a mob movie.
What is it?
That'd be cool. I wonder what that will look like.
The Departed meets Goodfellas.
Oh wow! Like
Hawaiian mob boss. I'm assuming the final boss. Scorsese was just watching last year's build to WrestleMania. He was like, "Yo, this guy's fucking great." I saw some great memes though of like maybe Scorsese was with his family around Christmas time, was watching Red One, and just went, "This is the guy right here. This is the guy. This is the guy." Imagine watching Red One and being like, "I think this guy needs to be in my movie." I'm sold on that.
It's set in Hawaii, isn't it? I think.
That's pretty cool. I imagine The Rock will be like a villain because of like the way he is sort of right now. It's sort of in WWE. So I am kind of looking for. I'm a sucker for Scorsese and Leonardo. Like DiCaprio, don't miss. So looking forward to that movie when it comes out, and I'm sure he'll miss another year of WrestleMania for. Whatever, but yeah, The Rock is a funny one. I love this final boss thing, and I also love that it pisses people off, but you can't deny that this was fucking weird. This was so bizarre, and maybe not even crazy to say, like, between this one and that NXT one, at least the NXT one, we knew he came out there and was like, "I'm the fucking Rock, I don't care." This one was like just so all over the place that maybe it was done on purpose. Maybe he really is, 1 or 2 or 9 steps ahead of us. But either way, we're gonna have to find out. And all of our souls belong.
Like, are we ever gonna know what he gave to Cody as well?
No idea. Yeah. The Rolex. Right? Maybe he gave it back to him. So take your fucking shitty watch. I don't want this. Maybe we'll find out exactly. Since WrestleMania, the Rock and Cody stuff has definitely like not been as hot maybe as it was last year, leading into like their WrestleMania. Like that was one of my favorite WrestleMania builds like ever. And like the match is right there. And clearly, if the Rock says I have to reshoot Moana, we can't do the match. I totally get it, but. To go back now and like, oh, let's reheat this up. It's like, I don't know. We kind of were moving, but we'll see where that goes. That was SmackDown. So I watched this last night, and then I thought to myself, wow, The Rock on SmackDown? Maybe, just maybe, I should watch some other stuff from SmackDown. And then I turn it on. Mellow Don't Miz. Nope. Actually, you know what? I actually don't want to watch this show. So I turned it off. I did watch Kevin Owens' very creepy promo from Sami Zayn's house. I did watch that.
Yeah, that was fantastic. This whole Kevin Sami thing is awesome. I think the crowd are going to be absolutely electric for it. It's the thing I'm most looking forward to now, like outside of this Rock Cody segment, to be honest. I think they've, as the show before WrestleMania is always a weird one because you're kind of like, let's just get to WrestleMania. But I think they've actually done a good effort for this. I think the men's chamber is interesting. There's definitely different options you can go to. It's pretty star-studded. Kevin, Sami, and Cody Rock segment. Like, I think that those 3 are enough to make this a pretty big show and one I do want to go to. But absolutely. SmackDown is struggling. Like, this is just... Things aren't clicking. It just feels dull. Like I like that they're trying with, different wrestlers and stuff, but the tag division, great wrestlers, but a lot of them just aren't clicking for me. It feels a very by numbers show. It feels very just stretched out. Like I can never think really of much what happened on it.
Yeah, so it looks missable. It looks very, very like obviously having The Rock on the show is a big thing, and that's cool. But the rest of the show looks like it kind of fallen apart a little bit. It looks like they don't necessarily put a lot of effort and time into this show, and they're focused maybe a little bit more on the Raw side of things. I'm not quite sure. But you said like going into Chamber, I've said a few weeks ago for now, like adding Kevin and Sammy is the best thing they could have done for this pay-per-view in Canada, in Skydome. Two of the biggest Canadian stars wrestling, unsanctioned match. Like no matter how many, we've said it, no matter how many times we watch these guys wrestle, we'll watch them wrestle again. And this could be the one. Like they've had their matches, they've had their WrestleMania moments, they've had everything, but like this should be their match, their moment, show stealer. Absolutely. This is the match I'm going to this show for. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Definitely pulling a card out of Swerve Strickland, Hangman, with Kevin Owens showing up at his house. Love the touch of him then turning his camera through the window crack of like Sammy and his wife and his kid and everything, like kind of being a bit evil there, like being
the man needs to buy some artwork or something. Those walls were so
he's never there. He's never at home, right? So yeah,
his family are.
Yeah, I loved that video from Kevin. Classic, like, you know, crazy heel who's like all backwards, like, oh, you're gonna make me do this. You're the one who's making me do this. I have to kill you because you're making
like
me
he is scary because you just like his eyes are so great at emoting because they do look like lifeless. He looks terrifying. He looks like a man who will do anything, like violence wise, and looks heartbroken. Like I think he's incredible, and I think Sammy's that they're both just such good wrestlers and such good promos, performers. They connect. Like I think this could be really magical. These two,
it should be. It should be like something we're talking about at the end of the year. Again, like two of the biggest Canadian wrestlers of all time in the Skydome, unsanctioned. Yeah, shit's going down. I need the package pile driver, ladder tower spot, and I'll lose my mind. I'll give you one of those hands on my head thing. Like what? Hopefully we get that. But I'm sold just from that match alone. The chambers look pretty good too. You know what? Like the men's especially, I think is like. We assume Punk, Cena, like there's a few options a few different ways that we could go about it. We're talking about the favor with Paul Heyman, and then there's Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. So like, I'm looking forward to this show. I would say now the intrigue is the Kevin Sammy match and the Rock segment over kind of the other matches, but still really looking forward to this show.
Yeah, who do you think for the women's is winning?
Well, we already have Charlotte and Tiff, right? So this would mean the winner of this faces Rhea Ripley.
Yeah. So
who do you think that would be?
I think Bianca. I don't really see any other option but Bianca at this point. So,
but with that storyline, with like,
it is weird. Like, I absolutely don't think it was Raquel and Liv that attacked Jade. Yeah. I'm wondering if it was Bianca that attacked Jade. But how you get there if you're going to a Rhea Bianca feud. I think Bianca as a heel is something I would like to see. I think she's had a great run as a babyface. She's a fantastic babyface, but maybe it's time to try something different. I don't know if I think Naomi is too obvious, and I also just don't think she works as a heel. Like we've seen it before and it just really didn't work. And I think maybe it being Bianca would be more interesting. But again, how you get there, like is this just a payoff we're waiting till after Mania with Jade? She's been out a long time. It's kind of weird.
I don't like the storyline. I'm not really invested in that like whatsoever. But it is kind of weird if you have Bianca and they're like kind of maybe teasing that she could be the I'm not sure. Roxanne Perez is in it, and I know, and as an NXT friend, I definitely would love to see that, but I think that's not necessarily the case. I imagine Bayley and Roxanne spin off into their own thing. So yeah, Rhea versus we can't go Liv versus Rhea again.
No, absolutely
not. God no. So you know what? Maybe it is Alexa Bliss. Maybe it is Bianca Belair. I'm not quite sure. None of those.
I don't know why you would put Alexa on SmackDown to just move to Raw. So yeah, I don't know. There is like we have the EO match on the night after Chamber, so I wonder if something screwy happens and we get a 3-way that way, perhaps.
Right. That's true. You could do that way. Because I want EO. Like EO should be the one. That the match should be WrestleMania as EO versus Rhea. But kind of bizarre that we didn't go that way. So maybe there is something that happens and we go that route. But and then they added Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae on pay-per-view in the Sky Dome. I've said this before. I'm a Torontonian. Been here my whole life. Every time WWE comes to Toronto, they're like, hey, we got something special. Get ready. It's so special. Toronto, are you ready? I don't think you're ready for this. We got a surprise. Trish Stratus. It's like, okay. I've been going to wrestling shows since I was a little kid. WWE been doing this since I've been watching wrestling.
Yeah.
Hey, Toronto, Trish Stratus. Could you imagine as a kid watching Raw when they would be like, hey, look, we got a surprise. Look, The Rock. Look, Stone Cold showed up on Raw. Hey, we're in Toronto. Trish Stratus. It's like every single time it's got to be Trish. Now, I love Trish. Trish is great. She's a GOAT, Hall of Famer, legend, Toronto legend. Shout out Vaughan and Woodbridge, Ontario. However, I don't need to see this match. I don't need to see this match whatsoever. And it's because of Nia Jax. That fucking stink face or ass drop or whatever that clip I saw from SmackDown
terrible.
Was awful. So you know where I'll be during this match. In fact, I'm grateful that they've added a buffer match. I mean, you don't need them in the WWE pay-per-views with fucking 30 minutes between matches, but of all things you could have added to this show, why this?
Yeah, I love Trish. I think Trish is great, and I think she's been very good on all these returns. So I'm not big into Nia, but I don't mind. It's fun. It gets Trish out in the dome again, which is cool. It's a way of, you've got Charlotte and Tiffany set, so you do kind of want Tiffany on the show, and I guess this is more interesting than doing a random title defense that Tiff will win. I don't hate it. I'm not overly excited by it, but I don't hate it. And I think, as Maddie B says, I think the crowd will be into it. I think the crowd still do show up for Trish, and you got Candice in there as well. That's a cool spot for her to be in as well. I don't mind this.
I just like the Nia Jax thing. I've not been a fan, but we've given her opportunity. Like, she's been in big things since coming back, and just every time, like, shits the fucking bed. Like, just one of my least favorite wrestlers, maybe of all time. I can't, maybe Baron Corbin. I think I hate her more than I hate Baron Corbin.
She's way worse than Baron Corbin.
Yeah, honestly, she is legit. Maybe one of my least, maybe is my least favorite of all time. Of all time, think, everyone listening right now, think of your least favorite wrestler of all time. Are they better or worse than Nia Jax? I'm not trying to be mean. I just do not like it is go away instant. Like, I do not want to watch anything involving this person. And I bet there's a very nice person, but oh man, this character, this wrestler, worst for me. So can't say this does anything. The crowd will lose it for Trish. And is it crazy to say? I bet the pop for Tiffany might be even bigger. Like, she just seems like she's a, very, very big star right now. Maybe not handled the best way with this Charlotte thing off the jump, but there's still so much time before WrestleMania.
I think I feel this can also set up to do, Trish versus Tiff at SummerSlam or something like that. I could see that being a match they want to do down the line. So this is we had the interaction at Money in the Bank last year between the two. You've now got the tag match. I think it's stuff that they're spreading out for limited Trish appearances.
I see Fire Frank in the chat saying, "Oh no, she's had actual good matches lately." No, Frank, I don't know.
I do agree with Frank. The Naomi match was pretty good. I've shaking your head. Yeah, you don't watch her matches, Braden.
I will not be watching this match.
Yeah, no, she has. She's been better in this run. Dude, there's 4 matches. Why would you have there's fucking 30 minutes of commercials?
I know.
Match.
That's what I'm saying. There's already a break. We don't need another piss break, but we got one here with this. Nia should take the pin, says Megan in the chat. I think that's what Candice is in the match for, but yeah. like you don't want Tiffany, I guess, like you could have just done Tiffany versus Trish, I guess, but for obvious reasons, they didn't want to go that way. But yeah, that's a match that's on the show. I don't see them adding any other matches. Like that's a lot already.
So.
2 chambers, which is like an hour each, give or take, plus the Rock segment, which will be an hour, give or take.
Yeah.
Plus the Sammy match, 30 minutes. So that's
I don't think anything else is being added. What have you thought of the Charlotte and Tiffany stuff so far?
That's what I mean. Like so far, it hasn't been hitting, maybe, but again, there's so much time before WrestleMania right now that hopefully it does kind of heat up. I think this is like a weird let's divert this just for right now. So like to get her on the show, I don't know.
I find both quite one-dimensional at the moment. I was really hoping when Charlotte returned that she'd find something a little different, a bit of a shake-up of her character a bit, but it's just the very one-dimensional. I am the queen, I'm the best. And Tiff, I like Tiff, but I don't think she's evolved too much with this character. It's not fully clicking, and I just think I'd like to find a bit more depth along the way with this feud. It's still early. It's only a couple of weeks in, but I can't say it's blown me away so far.
Yeah, like right now it's not necessarily clicking, but at least we know the match going towards it. I think they could definitely heat some things up. Again, the match itself. What's the deal with people not catching Tiffany Stratton? Is this like a memo that went out like a few months ago? It feels like people just don't catch her when she I think back to Money in the Bank here in Toronto.
True, yeah.
One of the biggest spots of that whole pay-per-view was her, and it was like no one caught her, and then she did the moonsault kind of. The one thing about Tiffany, she's been hanging out with Charlotte for like only a few weeks, and now she's starting to moonsault like her. I'm like, no, get away from that. Please get away from that. The Charlotte moonsault ain't it. Absolutely not. However, when it comes time, we will be talking about Tiffany and Charlotte probably putting on a pretty awesome WrestleMania match. So right now it's like, we'll get there. Hopefully it heats up.
Yeah. It looks like they're building Solo versus Jacob as well for WrestleMania, which I'm in two minds about. Like I haven't really been enjoying Solo in ring at all. But he has been a featured character, so it's not like surprising that he's going to get a WrestleMania match, but I'm happy that Jacob is getting a big focus. So I like how they're building it. I like kind of Jacob's now like hit my music. He's leading, going out with Solo, following that kind of thing. And just Jacob Fatu on WrestleMania sounds pretty cool. And I'm hoping it can kind of be a one and done, beat Solo and then move on to bigger singles things, whether that be, titles or what. But I just think Jacob Fatu's fantastic. So it's kind of the feud that makes the most sense to put him in, really.
He's in a great spot because he's like instantly catching fire with everyone who ever once your eyes are set on Jacob, you're like, oh, this guy's interesting. This guy's great. And you become a fan instantly. And that's what he spreads like wildfire, and he should be one of the big stars. He feels like he already is. And I don't want to see him versus Solo, but we kind of do need to do that before we kind of move on with Fatu. And plus, like the main scene right now is very, very busy, and he's only so new to WWE still, but like they got a big star on their hands with this guy. Absolutely. Like it's infectious when you watch him. Like,
oh yeah, he's great.
He just like jumps out of the screen. So very, very fun to watch. And again, even if it's a solo match, I think we can all get by it just to finally have him beat him. So we can again, like move on from that. But yeah, I'm just happy I don't have to watch Solo versus Cody in the Sky Dome. Yeah, I'm very happy about that. I'd rather watch The Rock ramble on and talk about tequila for 30 minutes than watch a solo match. So, yeah.
Anything else from WWE this week?
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about all the build for Elimination Chamber, and we know the matches for that, so we're pretty much set for that. I can't think of anything else that necessarily from WWE that jumped out. I think I was very focused on the Rock stuff. I don't know. Like I know we'll be live on Tuesday with NXT, and I think we will at the end of Up Next go through final chamber predictions. leading us into Saturday here in Toronto. So for right now, like I'm still pretty like into what's going on with Chamber. I'd say the Sammy Kevin Owens is really the like savior of that show for me, because I know a lot of people who are like, like I want to go, but it's an expensive ticket to sit up in the gods to watch a Chamber, which is probably going to make it even more difficult to see. So I'd say that is the saving grace of this pay-per-view for me, where it's like, oh yeah, I want to go so badly that I'll even maybe sit through a Nia Jax match to watch that one. So like they've done a good job. So
yeah.
Jamie Coe in the chat says, "Oh my God, he said Kevin Owens." Yeah, I finally did it. I finally learned how to say his name.
Only taken 11 years. Oh.
Yeah.
Did you catch any of LFG this week?
I didn't watch the full show, but I did watch some of the clips on YouTube. I watched some of the more of that stuff with BJ Ray and The Undertaker. I don't know if the show is necessarily for me, but I can understand that in today's age with your reality shows and your Love is Blind and your game shows and all that thing, I think there's a spot for this like crossover kind of thing. It just seems a little too like cheesy for me, but I didn't find myself really liking it. So
it's so American. It's like, and I say that I've been watching The Traitors recently, and I've been watching different seasons of it, and I watched the UK one, and it just feels like real people like playing this game, and I think that's interesting, and it's seeing how real people react in certain circumstances. And then I watched the American one, and it's all these Botoxed up lip filler fake looking people, edited so fake, clearly lines given to them to say, like it just feels fake. But I know that's what's popular. You watch all these American reality shows and people just fucking eat that shit up.
They do.
And it's not for me. And I think what's frustrating is, isn't it a cool idea? Like, you get these people who are training to be wrestlers together, you give them mentors in Undertaker, Booker T, Mickey James, Bully Ray, and you watch them improve, and you see that. Like, that's an interesting concept. Like, let's see how it is to train at the PC and all that kind of stuff. But it just felt so edited, like the Bubba Ray stuff.
I can't watch Bubba. I can't. Like I don't hate him like everybody else does. I've met. He's a wrestling legend, but I can't listen to Bully Ray talk. It's
fake. It's Gordon Ramsay in a kitchen. It's playing the character of Bubba Ray. Like, it was so set up with that BJ guy like going to shake his hand and him ignoring him, and it's like, I don't respect people until. Like, fuck off, respect everyone. Like, how many times we've been watching wrestling forever? How many times have you heard, like, you go in and you shake everyone's hand? Like, that kind of thing. And it just felt so staged, so much of it. But I'll probably keep watching it. I do get some enjoyment from it. Just, I wish one day, like, we had that AEW, what was the AEW show called? The behind the scenes
Roads to the Top?
No, not that as well. But there was the other one, which was like the backstage goings on at AEW.
Sammy Guevara Fight Club.
You just go, this would be really interesting if you were just showing what it actually is like backstage, rather than setting up these fake situations. So I get it. I think, it's interesting it being on A&E. Over here, it's on Crave. So these kind of shows, they are good kind of crossover shows to sometimes watch with your partner who might not be fully into wrestling, but like the reality side of it, things like that. I think there were some cool looking people, like the Olympic athlete looks great. Like, she looks fantastic. There's definitely some prospects, and I think it's a clever way of getting us to know some of these characters before they come onto NXT TV. They can come in with a bit of a buzz. So I do enjoy these shows, just I wish it felt less fake.
Yeah, I think that was my only, like, I don't usually watch these kinds of shows. I don't really get any enjoyment out of them, but I do also, like, this should be a thing. It's smart to do this. Look what's, like, popular right now. I tried to watch it the other day. I had A&E on, and A&E plays 12 hours straight of Storage Wars, and then they go into this show, and like the WWE rivals. So like A&E, I don't know what's going on with that channel, but the fact they're in bed right now with WWE, they're scraping to survive because they play 24 hours straight of Storage Wars. And then, anyways, here's LFG. Anyways, back to Storage Wars for 12 hours. I was like, someone needs to check on their programming. I got worried for them seeing that, but yeah, I don't necessarily like hate. I didn't hate it, but I'm like, I understand why this is a thing because look at all the other shows right now of like outside of wrestling. It makes sense. So like, maybe it's just not for me.
Who would you choose as you? So basically, they get to choose one of these people to mentor them.
Undertaker. So why would you pick? What person in their right mind would go? Should I pick Bully Ray or the Undertaker? Yeah,
I don't know. Like Booker T, he's got a very successful training school. He's been coaching for years. I'm not aware of Undertaker being a coach. Like
but it's the Undertaker.
It's one of those things on The Voice, you know, like sometimes you have, that person's an awesome singer,
it's but like
then look at the amount of people this guy has produced or that sort of thing, or the amount of connections this guy has. Like Undertaker would be cool, but I don't know, as much as he irritates me at times, I think maybe Booker T.
He'll set you up with a title run at Reality of Wrestling.
Exactly. What's the Undertaker doing for me? I get to talk about Trump on his podcast. I
get to hang out with Trump. What are you talking about? The Undertaker, I've said, politics and all that stuff aside, since him becoming Mean Mark, I love hearing his stories. I was just watching a clip this morning of, oh my God, he had me rolling. Maybe he was talking about this show. I don't know what he was, but I would pick the Undertaker. Imagine you show up. Okay, guys, Mickie James, Bully Ray, Booker T, or the Undertaker. You got to be absolutely out of your mind if you're not picking the Undertaker out of those. No disrespect to all of those people, but like, come on, it's the Undertaker. It's like an Undertaker. It's like, would you like American Idol? It's like, okay, here, would you like to be mentored by, like the most like Taylor Swift, or would you like to be mentored by I don't know, Daughtry? It's like I might go with someone who's like been at the fucking top, but maybe I'll check out next week's episode.
But what would his advice be? Like, be tall and be a ghost for 20 years?
Protect the business, except when a camera's in your face and you're explaining booze. Maybe that was the clip that made me not want to watch that show. It's the Undertaker explaining once you do the booze, you got him in the palm of your hand. I'm like, Undertaker, I don't know the last time you've wrestled, but I can't really think of booze in an Undertaker match. Also, but
I'm also just thinking it's like, like that's kind of obvious, Mark.
Yeah, like, that's like we know that one already. Yeah, it's like, can you maybe explain some other things? Can you teach us how to do a suplex? Bubba's got that one.
Well, let's move on to a little bit of AEW talk. Where would you like to start with this one?
Yeah, obviously with WWE being so hot right now, I feel like maybe AEW's like kind of on the wayside, and they've been delivering with some good stuff too, though. So like I did check out Dynamite, and I thought there was some really great stuff leading into Revolution, which is shaping up to be a card that I am very excited to watch. Like this card already looks awesome. Like I love the stuff with MJF and Hangman. We've seen them, in the past, Seabiscuit and all that kind of stuff. However, like now we've seen them like evolve, and they're going to go at it again, which I think could be definitely magic.
It feels fresh, even though like it's very, very early AEW stuff, these two. So I think it feels fresh, and it's doing something that AEW often are hesitant of doing, and it's putting two of your top stars against each other.
Yeah,
like,
they don't always do that.
How many matches like have we not had, like potential Kenny matches or Punk back in the day or Cody back in the day, because they don't like putting their stars against each other? This feels like that. They're both kind of the same mold, like AEW originals. I liked that this felt more an MJF I can get into, where you're seeing his insecurities as to why he's a dick. And it is always coming down to, deep down, MJF wants to be loved. And his character is, because he knows he's not getting love, that's why he acts out. That's why he shits on everyone and that kind of thing. And it's like, why does everyone love you? You've put a syringe through someone's mouth. You set their house on fire, and yet you're still adored. And like, I do something shitty and everyone fucking hates me forever. And it's, you see deep down, it's this guy just wants the adoration and the respect from these fans that he's never going to get. And even when it was the Adam Cole thing, it didn't quite feel real. So I like that. I like how Hangman is kind of his character. It doesn't feel just like a complete abrupt shift back to babyface. It is kind of like, wow, these people do love me, even though I fuck up and I burn people's houses down and stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought this was one of the strongest things on AEW TV this week, and I'm very excited for this match, and I hope it propels both of them sort of back up the card again.
It reminded me of old MJF, him using certain terms like insider baseball, like decided that Hangman, you're supposed to be the main character, is something he said. Oh, everyone always says Hangman was right. Obviously, beating around the bush there a little bit about a whole other thing. So I really enjoyed this segment between the two, and it reminded me of like, hey, actually, both of you should kind of be the two main characters, and you were at one point of AEW. So I'm really looking forward to that match. I really love both wrestlers, so the match itself will actually really deliver. And I'm not quite sure where to go, because one of these guys should be like back in the title hunt. I'm not quite sure where. Maybe have MJF win. I'm not quite sure where we go after, but so far I'm really into it. And then that loogie, he spit in his face.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we always joke like, what's with spitting in wrestling? But like, man, this guy spits in my face. I'm gonna I don't know what made him more hot, the spitball or him shitting on Christopher Daniels. I think that was the one that really, like, you can spit in my face, you can make fun of me, you can call me a horse, but once you talk shit about Christopher Daniels,
yeah, I'm
gonna kill you. I was like, oh, okay. Jeez.
Yeah, I feel whoever wins this feud should be in the like title hunt. Yeah. I'm not enjoying this Moxley Cope thing at all. I feel Cope, since his return, has come across as really lame. And I'm a fan of Edge. Like, I like him. I just feel the whole presentation I find pretty lame at the moment. The like shitty t-shirts he's wearing, the name, Spike, all this stuff. Like, it's all felt very bad WWE, attacking the briefcase with your stick with spikes on it.
I don't like any of it. Yeah.
And the booking of Mox beating Cope last week, like, how do you get a title match out of that? You lost. So I'm not enjoying this. I think this needs to end, this whole Moxley run. Cope wouldn't be the guy I put the title on, but at this point, just like, I'm happy with Cope being a transitional champion.
What about Christian?
Like, they put themselves in a corner. I just think it's such a mistake. I like Christian. I think he's a fun act in the mid card. And that's not disrespecting him. Like, he's in the twilight of his career. He's still putting on great things. But like, when you've got MJF, Hangman, Swerve, Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, Darby Allin up a mountain, like all these other people who should be in this title hunt before Cope, before Christian. Yeah, and I just think from a perception point of view, the doubters, the people who might have been on the fence with AEW recently, go, hey, what happened at the pay-per-view? Well, Edge beat Dean Ambrose and then got cashed in on by Christian. You're like, cool, this is the alternative, right?
It's better than whatever. They need to get out of this hole. It sounds like anyone you talk to, any fan, any show, any internet wrestling, like, everyone is down on this thing. So like, we need to pivot away. And if that's the only way out, then like, fucking do it. We need to get out of whatever this is. And this is dragging Moxley down, dragging AEW down so much. I really dislike this.
Hot potato, Edge Christian to Hangman within the space of a week. Like, I don't care.
I don't care. I don't just get it off of him right now. It's so. I think I don't even dislike when Edge had the what is he called, the spike thing. Yeah. I didn't even hate that. I think that was the most exciting thing in this thing, which doesn't say a lot about this whole program of Death Riders, but like there's a better story there with Mox and Cope, and we're not even getting that. Like that's how bad this is.
None of it's made sense.
It should make sense, but it doesn't. Like, it's bad.
Mox didn't really like. It was an ODQ match. Like he won the match. Like, why are you so mad? I'm also like, Mox, why are you so mad all the time? His gimmick is just his promos have got his delivery's great. Like Mox has fantastic delivery, so you sometimes overlook the content. But his content is just like, I'm John Moxley and I'm so fucking angry. What are you angry about, John? I'm just angry. I'm angry and I want to kill everyone. I'm like, okay, like that's
like
terrible.
Smoke a joint, like, bust a nut.
Terrible.
Like, calm down. I don't like that. It drags the show down. It obviously is affected. I saw a clip of MJF at like a convention and someone was filming him and he's like signing a photo of himself with the belt. And he's like, oh, look at me. Look, back when we were on top. And he's like, oh, you remember when we had crowds? And the fan is like, yeah. He goes, oh, yeah. Who is the title holder at that point? Oh, yeah, me. Yeah. Who's the title right now? John? Oh, yeah. Real good for business. Like, he's shit. Like, we could go in that direction. But, like, I think everyone would agree that the mock stuff just isn't working. When it drags so much down, there's a lot of other good stuff on the show.
I think AEW's been quietly pretty good recently. It's still maybe not. I still wouldn't say I've got the feeling back, but it's in general like this card for Revolution looks great. I think
it looks
the
awesome.
stuff. Obviously Ospreay and Fletcher is going to be awesome. I've been enjoying that story. Kenny and Takeshita, it looks like we're going to. I'm enjoying that. The Mariah Tony thing continues to hold my interest. But when it's your world title that just isn't hitting, and the world title is obviously such a huge part of the show, it still drags it down a lot.
Like everything else right now is hitting for me. Like I did enjoy a lot of the other stuff, but the
crowds have been great as well. Like the venues they've been picking are more sensible, and it sounds like a hot product again.
So we got the oops.
The ops, yeah.
The oops. It's all berries. Did you ever get that in the UK? Oops, it's all berries. The cereal that like they would do one that's like oops, all marshmallows. That was a big thing.
Okay.
Oops, only cookies or whatever. So the oops, Samoa Joe, Shibata, and Hook. I guess they needed a way to get rid of Action Bronson as Hook's theme song. So they gave them a new instrumental beat, which I was vibing to. Okay, someone understands. Oops, all berries. Thank you, Leon. I thought I was crazy. Oops, the oops in action. I think it's great that these three are a team. It might just need some like tweaking a little bit, maybe. The ops isn't my favorite name, but the oops, however.
I don't really have a great deal to say about the ops. Like I like the Joe. Ops. Like Shibata, sure, they're fine. I get why they're hanging out. I can't say it's a particularly interesting part of the show for me.
Imagine. Hey, what are you doing? Oh no, nothing. I'm just watching the ops versus the patriarchy. Excuse me. What are you talking about? Yeah, the oops. Yeah, great. You know what? I loved something from Dynamite.
Oh yeah,
Big Bill versus Will Hobbs in a Texas Death or a Last Man Standing match. Big Bill needs to get away from the vortex, and like I think it took 13 years, but I'm finally a big Cass fan. I'm finally, I've always had a soft spot for him, but like it's something he's
putting in great work. Yeah,
something is working now. Something is actually clicking with Hobbs and Big Bill. Like I really thought this was a meaty match where they were throwing each other, and that spot at the end where he like throws him off the steps onto like this barbed wire table and everything. Like it was really fun. And again, Big Bill, he's getting the crowd reaction. The stuff with Jericho, I guess, is working to get him over. So like as much as people hate to see Jericho come out, they're excited to see Big Bill and Brian Keith to an extent.
I would really like to see, we've talked before about there's too many titles in AEW, and having a bit more definition for what the titles are and having a bit of a ranking thing. I wouldn't be against having let's say, the TNT title being the meat division, and have something that, you know, these guys you can have your Hobbs, your Bills, your Wardlow if he ever comes back, your Joes, like all those kind of people in a meat division. I think would be pretty fun, like Archer and Cage, like those kind of guys, because I feel like it's you know, the world title, I get then the international title, and then the continental title, which kind of has its rules. And then if you define the TNT by being like, you know, big lads wrestling, I think it would give something for these guys to fight with. Because I'm with you. I enjoy both these guys. I like Big Bill a lot. I think he's got a certain sort of charisma about him and moves well for a big guy. But the worry is, and we've seen it before, how many stop starts have we had with both these guys? And it's because what do they have to fight for? They'll have a good match. They'll disappear again. They're not your top shelf. Hangman's, MJFs and things. So where do they go? So I wouldn't mind seeing something like that for them.
I like that idea. Like they do have like a lot of high flyers. So when they do have the bigger meaty guys, it does kind of stand out a bit much. Like more people are like, oh, like we can get into that. You mentioned the murder machines. This got a laugh out loud moment from me. It cuts to the Murder Hawk Monster and the Machine, Brian Cage, backstage. Okay, let me describe this. Let me set the table here. Two big guys who are sick wrestlers, but both of them cannot talk. So what do? Let's take away Jake the Snake Roberts and let them be the voice for themselves as this tag team. This was so funny, unintentionally. Like, again, I whenever these guys wrestle, I think they're pretty good. They're pretty entertaining. They get the job done. They get in, they get out. One of them thinks he's Wolverine. One of them has a tramp stamp. Both of them can't talk. I don't know what this promo
was. I was just like, I put on Collision last night after work and was just going through exactly those thoughts in my head. Like, both guys, really good wrestlers and do incredible stuff for the size they are, but they're so uncool. Both of them, it's the murder dork monster. Like, they're so geeky. Like down to the name. Like it's a name like
Murder
if I was
Machines.
8 years old, me and my best friend, our tag team would be Braden. We're the Murder Machines. That's lame. As you said, one thinks he's Hugh Jackman from 2002. That's lame. One has braids, thinks he's a fucking bird, and has a tramp stamp. That's lame. His catchphrase is "everybody dies." That's lame. Like, everything is so fucking lame about them. Like, you know, if they had a t-shirt, it would be one of the worst t-shirts in AEW, and that's saying something. They have appalling merch, but because these guys probably listen to the shittiest of music, like have just the shittiest taste in everything. God bless them. I think them against the Hurt Syndicate's going to be sick. Like, I'm looking forward to that match. I think we're talking about meat madness and all that.
Meat.
But man, it's just like,
where's Jake?
How are you both so uncool? It's hilarious.
I genuinely, again, I sound like I'm going to be like being negative. Like, again, every time they wrestle, I'm usually really entertained. I've watched both these guys, but way before AEW, fucking Lance Hoyt for years. Fuck yeah. But they got like no aura or like charisma in their promo game. And then I'm thinking, okay, wait a second. Both these guys were with Jake the Snake at one point. So where the fuck is Jake the Snake? Okay,
he's with
Jake's
LFI.
Gone. Yeah, he's with those guys. Okay. So wait. Wait, these guys are in the Don Callis family. Okay, wait, where's Don? Oh, he's busy. So why? Like, where is their mouthpiece?
You know, and I'm gonna hate myself for saying this, but just for the hilarity of, again, how lame these guys are. Just give him Alex Abrahantes. Take him away from the Luchadors.
God.
Can you
what a
imagine
team that would be?
These two big guys, and he's just coming out like in his fucking gloves. And
gloves?
He makes me so angry.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. So
I did. I watched Collision, but
right. Yeah. I just was like, man, you guys are actually pretty decent. It's just like where the promo game was really off for me with them. But
they had a really fun squash match. Did you catch any of Collision?
Yeah, I caught just before recording. I was watching Hologram and Beast Martis, which I don't know how that guy does some of the stuff he does. Beast Maurice there.
Oh my god. Yeah, I love this match. I've actually been really enjoying Collision recently. They've been having a few more angles on it. The wrestling has been pretty good and just highlighting people that I don't necessarily see on Dynamite. Hologram, another one. Like this whole look. I know you hate Axiom's look. I think Axiom's look is far, far, far superior to whatever Hologram has going on. Agreed. Again, it's just the name, the mask, the tight, like everything is wrong with it. But then he wrestles, and I thought these two had a hell of a match. There were some crazy bumps in this, that suicide dive into the guardrail that Hologram did, the crucifix bomb. Like there was one on the stage, and the crack of Mortos's head on the stage sounded nasty. I loved this match. I thought this was really exciting and just a great lucha match. And if that's something that I get on Collision every week, that makes me want to watch Collision, because I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Yeah, like they have some, like they've been promoting a bunch of shows, I think, in California with lucha heavy advertising. Like, hey, look, we're gonna have Mystico and like some other people again. Like they know, like they caught on a little bit with some of the lucha guys that they have. I'm trying to think of other things. We had Gabriel Kidd showing up. They teased him on Dynamite, and then him showing up. So I watched him versus the Butcher. Fine match and everything. Super cool to see him. And then he cuts a promo that they aired afterwards online or on YouTube, and him basically saying like, hey, I've been pissing all over AEW, and here I am, and no one's stepped up to me. So like maybe the crown is for the taking, which I found very interesting, because my fingers then led me to go, surely New Japan would have locked down Gabe Kidd. You think, right, Davie? You'd think that.
I mean, nope. I'd never know with New Japan contracts.
Yeah. So
is there news coming out about that?
I think we're going to be hearing some news about how maybe he is able to do some other things. And I don't know if necessarily he's locked down. I'm not reporting this. I'm not saying anything, but from just taking a little look-see, seems like some people might be also thinking the same thing. Like, hey, you got New Japan, you had a tag team called Aussie Open. They were pretty good. You didn't lock them down, and you lost them. Not saying like, hey, you needed them, but look, Fletcher's doing pretty good right now. However, Gabe Kidd, after his one match with Kenny at the Dome, you'd imagine you put all their stock in that guy. That doesn't seem to be the case. So, interesting. And apparently Clark Connors as well had a promo. He's coming back to AEW. So, kind of strange, but at the same time, I do love Gabe Kidd. He's got this like, talking about aura and presentation and charisma, like that not a lot of people have. He comes off very like aggressive, like energetic. Different.
This kind of guy I see all the time back home, and they're not people I like. They're not people I like to hang out with. But as a wrestling character, it's something we haven't really seen from the Brits. You know, like that kind of just rough, like brawling style, but also just the way he talks, his attitude. It's going to catch on. It's already been catching on in Japan. Like, I think that the Kenny match got him so much buzz where he does have this aura now about him. I wish I didn't know about that promo. I wish they showed that on TV, because that was a big thing for me. I'm like, hey, Gabe Kidd's been shitting on AEW, saying that New Japan is the place to be, and he's wrestling a match. He needs to like come out and address that. And for just the TV presentation, it's him taking on the Butcher, who we rarely ever see, and just killing him. What I did find interesting was Don Callis watching on. So I would think if he is sticking with, I mean, either way, but if he is sticking with New Japan, maybe Ospreay, Gabe Kidd in the UK for Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
You know, two British stars. You have it's a bit rinse and repeat from Don Callis of just, I'll just get the next guy who has buzz about him in my ever-growing stable. Don Callis is Brian Cage and Lance Archer's mouthpiece.
That's what I'm saying. Where the fuck was he?
Yeah, true. Like
the two guys that need him.
But that just goes to show that group is getting diluted, I think, and it's meaningless. But yeah, Gabe Kidd, Will Ospreay, like that sounds something pretty cool. I'd imagine that could be a Forbidden Door match, unless I could see them wanting to do Zach and Will in London as well. I could see that being an option.
True.
But that would be the route is Will Ospreay and Gabe Kidd was the tease I got, and that's interesting to me.
I think he's pretty great, and I saw that he's announced for, I know this, I don't know how many Quebecers or people out there listening, but he's advertised for Mystery Wrestling in Gatineau, Quebec, the day after Elimination Chamber. I believe that's Evil Uno's fed, where they do a lot of fun. It's very like PWG, Shikara type thing. But I see a lot of clips always coming out of these mystery wrestling shows. And he's advertised for March 2nd, which made me go, is he booked for March 1st somewhere? So I imagine he might show up for a booking in Toronto or something like that. But pretty cool. Like, this guy's getting a lot of buzz from that Kenny match, rightfully so. And it was cool to see him on AEW. And like, he is a character that jumps out of the screen for a lot of people. Something else from Collision was, blink and you miss it, Speedball Mike Bailey is all elite. Speedball video here showcasing some of the stuff he's done in elsewhere and saying coming soon. So Speedball is signed to AEW. He has been signed for a while, but I know he's a Canadian who has had visa issues in the past, so it looks like that is all cleared up. Where do you see Speedball fitting in? Any matches you want to see? Anything that comes to mind? We've seen a lot of this guy in the Ontario independent scene. We're a big fan of Speedball.
Oh yeah, I just can't wait to see the matches he has. It's always the worry with all these promotions now. Like, there's just such a depth of talent that it is tough to find your spot and find your place. And as great a talent Speedball is, I do question kind of the other sports entertainment side of wrestling a bit with his character. But yeah, like, matches, Hologram and Mortis, they'd be cool opponents. Ospreay, obviously. You've got the Takeshita rematch. You've got Kenny. There's
Buddy Murphy. There's so many. There's a long
people
list,
who would just have great matches, and his matches do the talking for him. But yeah, it's, I don't know, TNT, Daniel Garcia, like that kind of thing as well.
Oh, is Daniel Garcia the TNT champion?
Yeah.
Oh,
Hulk Hogan.
Weird. I thought Daniel Garcia was challenging for another title again this week.
Of course he's the belt collector, Danny G.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, like I think there's a lot of cool matches. I think we've said this a lot recently. Like, maybe NXT would have been cool as well, because they need some baby faces in the men's division. But I also just don't know. And maybe it's because I haven't really seen him tested too much with it, but I just don't know how he'd fit with the scripting and that kind of element. And I could see him just coming across as a bit of a nerd in NXT. So maybe AEW is the right move.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see where he eventually lands and like wrestles and stuff. Again, he's always someone that's pretty exciting to watch. So there's some good stuff. Like, AEW, I know, is maybe like put to the side with like the WrestleMania hype and WWE just being crazy hot, but they've had some really good stuff in the last few weeks. And leading up to Revolution, you mentioned steel cage match, Ospreay Fletcher. That sounds incredible. Takeshita versus Kenny. That the pay-per-view is sold to me already. MJF Hangman, Mercedes Momo Watanabe, which is pretty crazy too. That's pretty cool. Timeless versus Mariah. Again, they did that thing on Collision 2 where she attacked her at the beginning there. So there's some good. Oh, and Moxley, Cope, and Big Boom AJ is advertised. I wonder who his opponent will be though.
I really think AEW's been a lot better. Like someone, was it Jamie in the chat, said Collision's been his favorite. No, Chris Jones in the chat says Collision was show of the week again. I think they've been making some good efforts with Collision recently. I've been enjoying it. I come home quite late on a Saturday from work and just want something to wind down, and I've been getting some really good wrestling and some story progression on that show as well. So the crowds are sounding way better. So I think they need to. The main thing is fix the AEW world title picture. Yeah. And this, we could be heading to a good summer. This time last year was the best run last year for AEW. Certainly you had Sting's retirement Revolution all the way up through to Brian's win at All In was a great run. And I think they've got the potential to capture that again.
Absolutely. So we'll be looking forward to some more Dynamite and Collisions and Revolution in the next few weeks. We will be chatting about it. We will be back on Tuesday night on Post Wrestling, 10:05 p.m. We will be chatting all about some NXT, and then we'll give our final preview and predictions for Elimination Chamber at the end of that show. So join us this upcoming Tuesday, postwrestling.com for all that. But this time next week, Sunday, 2 p.m., March 2nd, we will be live here on Poisonrana Live as we go through Elimination Chamber. So join us here next Sunday on YouTube as we chat all about our time at the Sky Dome for Elimination Chamber. And again, if you are planning on going to Chamber or you just want to hang out and not go to Chamber, hang out with us 1 p.m. Gabby's King Street West in Toronto for the lock-in, as we will be singing some songs, some wrestling karaoke, some prizes, some games. It's going to be a fun tailgate party, and we're very excited. So appreciate everyone out there listening in the chat. I see all of you, Jamie, Chris, Frank, Ryan. There's so many more in there. Appreciate all the love. Appreciate all the frogs being dropped. And follow all the socials. As always, poisonrana.ca for links of everything that we do. And if you do like what you hear, it's only $5 to get access to Champions Here Episode 6, Rumble 02 review, the Godfather Part 2 review, and our WrestleMania 18 review coming out this week. So many shows. That's pennies per podcast. So what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
Thank you, everybody. We're going to go catch some wrestling right now. I got to watch Dan the Dad wrestle. So we got to get out of here and catch us at Northern Crown. And you can catch me on all the socials at the Brady.
Yes, find me at Davie Portman and follow our Blue Sky at poisonrana.ca.
Thank you, everybody. Keep it froggy style. We will chat soon. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And your soul is mine.
Everybody dies. Ahoy!
Poisonrana.